To This Day is a speech/poem written and performed by Koyczan. I've chosen this poem because I feel the message it conveys is a message we choose to overlook in today's society. Physical abuse is often prioritized over psychological, and in my opinion this is the hamartia in our efforts to eradicate bullying. Psychological damage is as, if not more important than physical for numerous reasons. For example, in the case of psychological damage, one cannot know the degree to which a person is in pain, or what they have endured. How can a scar left on the very thing that controls how we think, feel, act, and do be any less important than that on the body? I was once told, life is a state of mind. So how can you expect that life to be as bearable if the mind is being corrupted by the poisonous actions of those who choose to disregard a person's well-being? You simply can't. Why is it then that these traumatic ordeals are being brushed off with phrases like, get over it, rhymes like sticks and stones? But speeches like this, well, they help prevent this. Step one to fighting bullying is awareness and recognition, and this is my attempt to do just that. This is my contribution to bringing awareness to all those left emotionally scarred, crying out internally to be recognized and understood, only to have their pleas ignored. I've chosen this because of its noble and righteous message that should be publicized further. And if I can bring its message to one person, I have made a difference. If I can bring the message that words like geek, slut, fag do more damage than one day of sadness or silence, I have made a contribution. These jokes can be so distressing to the point someone would rather die than be who they are. Though I'm glad to say, society is finally progressing. We're beginning to realize the bruises we can't see are more damaging than the ones we can. Society is finally becoming attentive because of speeches, messages, and stories just like the one I'm about to recite now. And though my contribution won't end here, here is where it begins. To This Day, by Koyczan. When I was a kid, I used to think that pork chops and karate chops were the same thing. I thought they were both pork chops. And because my grandmother thought it was cute, and because they were my favorite, she let me keep doing it. Not really a big deal. Until one day, before I realized fat kids are not designed to climb trees, I fell out of a tree, and I bruised the right side of my body. I didn't want to tell my grandmother because I was scared I'd get in trouble for playing somewhere I shouldn't have been. A few days later, the gym teacher noticed the bruise, and I got sent to the principal's office. And from there, I was sent to another small room with a really nice lady who asked me all kinds of questions about my life at home. I saw no reason to lie. As far as I was concerned, life was pretty good. I told her whenever I'm sad, my grandmother gives me karate chops. And this led to a full-scale investigation, and I was removed from my house for 3 days, until they finally decided to ask how I got this bruise. News of this silly little story quickly spread through the school, and that's how I earned my first nickname. Pork chop. But to this day, I hate pork chops. I'm not the only kid who grew up this way. Surrounded by people who said that rhyme about sticks and stones. As if broken bones aren't more than the names we got called. We got called them all. So we grew up believing no one would ever fall in love with us. That we'd be lonely forever. That we'd never meet someone to make us feel like the sun was something they built for us in their tool shed. Don't tell me that hurts less than a broken bone. So broken heartstrings bled the blues as we tried to empty ourselves so we would feel nothing. As if an ingrown life is something surgeons can cut away. That there's no way for it to metastasize. It does. She was 8 years old. Our first day of grade 3, and she got called ugly. We both got moved to the back of class so we would stop getting bombarded by spitballs. But the school halls were a battleground, and we found ourselves outnumbered day after wretched day. We had to stay inside for recess because outside was worse. Outside we'd have to rehearse running away, or learn to stay still like statues, giving no clue that we were there. In grade 5, they taped a sign to the front of our desk that read, "Beware of dog." To this day, despite a loving husband, she doesn't think she's beautiful, because of a birthmark that takes up a little less than half her face. Kids used to say she looks like a wrong answer someone tried to erase, but couldn't quite get the job done. And they'll never understand she's raising 2 kids whose definition of beauty begins with the word mom. Because they see her heart before they see her skin, because she's only ever always been amazing. And he was a broken branch, grafted onto a different family tree. Adopted. But not because his parents opted for a different destiny. He was 3 years old when he became a mixed drink of 1 part left alone, 2 parts tragedy. Started therapy in 8th grade, had a personality made up of tests and pills, lived like the uphills were mountains and the downhills were cliffs, 4/5 suicidal, a tidal wave of antidepressants, and an adolescence of being called pauper. 1 part because of the pills, 99 parts because of the cruelty. He tried to kill himself in grade 10, when a kid who could still go home to his mom and dad had the audacity to tell him, "Get over it." As if depression is something that can be remedied by any of the contents found in a first aid kit. To this day, he remains a stick of TNT lit from both ends and could describe to you in detail the way the sky bends and the moment before it's about to fall, and despite an army of friends who will call him an inspiration, he remains a conversation piece between those who can't understand sometimes being drug-free has less to do with addiction and more to do with sanity. We're not the only kids who grew up this way. To this day, kids are still being called names. The classics, "Hey stupid," "Hey spaz." It seems like every school has an arsenal of names, getting updated year by year. And if a kid breaks at school and no one around chooses to hear, do they make a sound? Are they just background noise to a soundtrack stuck on repeat saying things like, "Kids gonna be cruel"? Every school was a big top circus tent, and the pecking order went from acrobats, lion tamers, clowns to carnies, all of these miles ahead of who we were. We were freaks. Lobster claw boys, bearded ladies, oddities juggling depression, loneliness, playing solitaire, spin the bottle, trying to kiss the wounded parts of ourselves and heal. But at night, while the others slept, we kept walking that tightrope. Yeah, some of us fell. But I want to let all of them know, all of this is just debris. Left over from the day we finally decided to smash all those things we thought we used to be. And if you can't see anything beautiful about yourself, get a better mirror. Look a little closer, stare a little longer, because there's something inside you that made you keep trying despite everyone who told you to quit. You built a cast around your broken heart, you signed it yourself, you signed it, they were wrong. Because maybe you didn't belong to a group or a clique. Maybe they decided to pick you last for basketball, or everything. Maybe you used to bring bruises, broken teeth to show and tell, but never told. How could you hold your ground when everyone around you wants to bury you beneath it? You have to believe that they were wrong. They have to be wrong. Why else would we still be here? We grew up learning to cheer on the underdog because we see ourselves in them. We stem from a root planted in the belief that we are not what we were called. We're not stalled out cars sitting empty in some highway. And if some way we are, don't worry. We only got out to walk and get gas. We're graduating members from the class of We Made It. Not the faded echoes of voices crying out names will never hurt me. Of course they did. But our lives will only ever always continue to be a balancing act that has less to do with pain more to do with beauty.